Welcome, welcome, welcome to the keys to successful classroom management. We have Dr. Marlyn back with us today. Every time I talk about Dr. Marlyn, I say, she's our SPED expert. And now she's coming to do something a little bit different, talking about classroom management. So I'm all ready to hear what she has to say today. But let's go through some announcements. So who am I? I am Dr. Desiree Alexander. Hello, everybody. I am the founder, CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting, and these are all of the ways that you can follow me. All right. What do we have coming up? So this is our last webinar for March, and then we start strong again in April. So Saturday, April 13th, we have AmpliWave Learning Amplified. So coming to learn about the new AmpliWave instructional audio system to help overcome barriers. And then we have on Saturday, April 20th, library schedules that work, flexible, are on the block. Then another April 27th, finishing the year strong, ideas to boost student engagement. Then in May, we have Ready, Set, Record, getting started with video production projects in elementary school. And then we have ISTE in June. It just kind of skips on over, but we do have a couple of more webinars that are coming your way. But for now, that's it for the fall. For the spring, my goodness. And then we have ISTE in the summer, so definitely come and check me out at ISTE. The schedule is growing, but for now, this is what is definitely going to be happening. And then July 13th, we have library collaboration, leadership, and mentoring. October 5th, so we kind of skipped October. We're going to start planning in the fall. We do have a couple more that we've already planned for the fall, but Level Up Career Moves in Librarianship. So you can see that Tanya is going to be our she's going to come and bring us a lot of library sessions. So I'm excited about that as a former librarian. And then we always have our self-paced courses. So you can always log into and do yourself. That's Google certifications, level 1 and level 2. That is support time with me. That's educational leadership certification if you're in a state that takes the SLLA exam. So we always have those self-paced courses going on. And then, of course, you can always tell me what you want to learn or what you want to teach. We take first-time presenters. We take international presenters. It doesn't matter. If you want to share what you know with other educators, Educator Alexander Webinars is the place that you can do it. You can also tell me what you want to learn. You may say, well, I don't want to teach anything, but I want to learn a certain thing. I want you to find a presenter for it, and we'll see if we can do that. So let us know. All of these things you can do at edalex.net/events. So go register for the webinars you want to come to, and we'll be here for you. So with no further ado, we want to come here and we want to learn about the keys to successful classroom management.
Thank you so much, Dr. Desiree Alexander, and thank you for allowing me to present in your platform. And I think you forgot to tell that I'm becoming kind of like a resident with you on this online professional development. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone who are here. I think of the most professional development that I have been presenting with Dr. Desiree, this is the one that I have the most number of participants. And I thank you for coming and taking a precious time for you to be here to learn. Like what I said, we always want to learn so many things and we are learning together. So I am so happy to see you, to have you here. So welcome to my professional development on the keys to successful classroom management. And I am your presenter for today. I am Marlyn Pangatungan, and I'm going to share to you about a little bit about me. Hold on, let's see. Okay, hold on. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I'm going to share you a little bit about me. I am a published author. A year ago, I was able to write a book about special education, and if I'm going to share with you, this is my book right here. This book is not just for special education teachers. This is the book. I called my book A Book Without Border, because this is the book for everyone who wants to learn everything about special education. Because in all honesty, we are all serving students, and some students might need more, more support. And we think that, oh, they don't need those kind of services, but we all do. So it starts from learning from within. And what we learn from a book is really very helpful. And I'm also a mentor here in my district. I've been a mentor for 3 years. I've been mentoring new teachers, especially in their classroom management piece. That's a big piece that we have to help as mentors to the new teachers who are new to their teaching and learning. I'm also a peer partner this year, so I am so happy to observe those teachers and share my expertise to them. And I have been doing a professional development online as a presenter. And I love learning, and I want to share what I learned. So I try to gather information that I feel like I want to share to others who want to learn the same thing as me as well. I am also a certified teacher, both regular and special education. I have been in the education system for about 23 years. So with all those years, I have learned so many things. And this is the reason why I want to do professional development, because of the things that I want to learn. I want to share it out, pay it forward to other teachers who are also interested to learn. And this year, I am in a new role, administrative assistant, and I'm also doing the discipline part. And so this is the reason why I was thinking about doing the classroom management piece, because being an administrative assistant, you're dealing with a lot of discipline, and you're receiving a lot of referrals from different teachers from pre-K to middle school. That's where I handle the grade levels. And I can see a pattern of behavior, not just coming from, is it a teacher factor or is it a student factor, why these students are here in my office. And lastly, I am a university instructor. I've been teaching online for master's students since 2020. And I have been teaching different courses like basic English, intermediate English. I'm also teaching, of course, my favorite, my major, special education. And right now I have been also teaching the research education for those master's students. So those are the little things about me. And my book is also available at Amazon.com if you're interested. So you can always, feel free to just type my name in there. It will be there. It will pop up, and you see that in my picture. That's how it looks like. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So I know this is a online presentation, and just like if it's a face-to-face, we also have the norms that we have to follow. I know I cannot see you. You can only see me, but I hope that you have presence of mind, because in all presentations that I do, I like it to be very interactive. I want everyone to participate. I want everyone to have presence of mind, because there might be some things that hey, if you want to say something, you can stop. You can tell Dr. Desiree, or you can do a raise your hand. If you want to share something at the moment, feel free to let us know, because I want us, this is not just me sharing or learning, this is for us to learn. This is for everybody to learn while we are doing this presentation. So you might be multitasking, but have presence of mind, especially if you feel like the information is very helpful to you. And like what I said, participate, because I will be sharing some information to you, but I'm also asking sometime like, hey, your turn. I want you to share your experiences. So be on the lookout for that one. And sometimes we might disagree, or we might agree to disagree, but we have to remain to be respectful for everyone, for all the ideas and opinions that we are going to share. And of course, now that you're here, that means you want to have a growth mindset, that you want to learn so many things. These things that I'm going to share with you are mostly experiential. And for me, one of the best things that work for me is to share personal experiences, and nothing beats experience, but that this information that I'm going to share with you are also backed by research. So I hope that you will be enjoying this presentation of mine for for a good 1 hour. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so the title of my presentation is all about the keys to successful classroom management. But the very first thing that we have to remember is, what is classroom management? We know that in every beginning of the school year, we are told by our administrators, the very first 3 weeks of your school, or maybe 2, 3 weeks, you're going to do the classroom expectations, you're going to do the routines and procedures, and making sure it's in place. But as teachers, we also have to ensure that before we are going to ensure that there is a good instruction in place, we ensure that there's a good classroom management piece in place first, because we cannot teach a class with 30 or maybe more number of students in the classroom with a chaotic classroom. So what is classroom management? It's a process that teachers and schools, and including students, to create positive classroom environment in face-to-face or virtual learning modes. But with COVID time, we can say hybrid. So even with online classes, we always have to ensure that we also put in place the classroom management that we have. So when we say it's a process, it's a step or steps that we are looking forward to look for the intended outcome. What's the outcome that we're trying to look for when we're going to have a good classroom management in our classroom? We want to have a stress-free learning environment. We want teachers to enjoy the rest of the day, and we want teachers to stay. Because if you will know on the news, if you hear in the news, there are a lot of teacher leaving the profession because probably number one reason, and I'm just gonna say this is just my opinion, probably number one reason is they're not able to handle the classroom the way they should be. So it also includes teacher and student-led actions. It's not just mostly teacher, and we all know very well that, especially this year, in my observation, we are going to do a cognitive lift. Like, it's going to be mostly student-led, but students cannot do it without the guidance of the teacher. So it should be a balance between teacher and student-led actions to support academic and emotional learning among all students. And we all know very well, we heard a lot of social emotional learning. We all know very well, we heard a lot of ACEs, the traumas, and teachers, adults have our own trauma as well. We have to face the fact that we also have our own trauma. Students come to our school with a lot of mental, we always say mental concerns and issues, but we also make sure that we put things in place in the right perspective. And take note that a well-managed classroom, that we incorporate positive behavior management. So this is one of the reasons why the school will have the school-wide positive intervention support. But that's the big part. That is where the school as a whole. But what I'm talking about with this is, when you are in your classroom, what are the things in place that you, as individual teachers, because one teacher may be different from the other, and one classroom set of students may behave more with you, and then when they go to another teacher, they will not behave the way they behave with the previous teacher. So these are the things that you have to think about of your own classroom management styles or strategies, to make sure that you have a stress-free, a peaceful, and happy classroom learning environment with your students. And one of the reasons to ensure that you have the kind of classroom is to be able to build school connectedness. And when you say about school connectedness, what do you mean by that? It means that students feel that the adults or teachers or any adults in the school show that they care about the learning as well as about them as individuals. And this is what I want to say. I think there's a reverse, because if you are teaching students, we always feel that students want to be cared for first, then they will care to learn. And this is mostly because I've been in a Title I school, and you may also put it on the chat if you're in a Title I school or below poverty line, economically disadvantaged students. We know very well that they care most about teachers who care for them first, and then they will care to learn. And we know very well that there are a lot of students who will challenge you to the core. They will misbehave you right there. They will just cuss you out right there in front of your face, and just like that. And it will already destroy the peace of mind that you have, that that you have planned for the day. So you have during our time, we have the old school or school ways. We are sitting properly, we are just listening. Teacher will just roll their eyes on you and you listen. But then take note that every year there's a new generation. So what we learn from our old school, this what we call the new school. Then what's next? So there are things that we have to remember, that what we learned previously in our own time when we were students, or in our own time in our own generation, it might be a little different. So we have to also learn the kind of generation that we have, especially that we are planning to stay in the education system for a longer period of time. If this is one thing that I will share with my teachers when I was, presenting culture and climate. If we want to be teachers, this is a ministry that we do. We take a lot of work, and it always starts with a teacher who care. Remember about the school connectedness? It starts with the one teacher who cares, because without a teacher who really cares, you're just there from 8 to 3, and that's it for you. But if you will do more, if you will do above and beyond, you will be able to see progress, not just students learning the academics, but what we're trying to uphold as a teacher or as an educator is that we are trying to build the whole child, not just a student passing the LEAP assessment, or not just students passing your end of the 9-week assessment, but we are trying to develop the whole child. When they will be adults, they are a good citizen in our community. And that's something that we have to look forward to as teachers. So when you say school connectedness, it includes a sense of being cared for, being supported, and belonging at school. So now I have a question for you. You may unmute, or you may, I want people to really share, because I am not sure how many years of experience you have. You may put it in the chat how many years of experience you have as a teacher. But regardless of the years of experience, one of the challenges for teachers is the classroom management piece. If a teacher who will come to school without the thought of planning a well thought out classroom management strategy, your classroom will be chaotic every day. So my question to you is, how are you going to show a sense of belonging to your students, regardless of the time of the year, especially this time of the year where it's the end of the third 9 week? If someone is brave enough to share, like what I said, this is for us, we're learning from each other. I want to hear 1 or 2 people or 1 or 2 participants to share, how do you show a sense of, belonging with your students while they're in the classroom, and probably beyond classroom. Anyone would like to share, please? If no one will be, I'm probably calling people here. Let's see. I hope they're listening to me. Okay. I have one favorite person over here, Lynn Gillo. Would you want to share to us what are the things that you have done to ensure that students belong to your classroom, not just they are just body that are accounted for in the classroom?
Okay, first of all, good morning, everybody. I thought you might call me, and I was right.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is my first time attending Dr. Marlyn's webinar, and I'm glad to be here. Yes, so when you say sense of belongingness, the important piece about belongingness is the relationship that you're trying to establish with the students. At the end of the day, it's all about relationship. So students, how they present um, themselves to you, how they approach you, how they conduct themselves in front of you and in the classroom in general. I think at the end of the day, it's all about relationship. I know, I agree with you when you said that every teacher is different, every class is different, but at the end of the day, um, do students matter to me? At the end of the day, that's the question. What can I do to help my students learn? Because like what you said, it's not just about academic learning that we strive to provide them. We are here also for them to, become better individuals of our society. So yes, belongingness, it's not like a one night, overnight thing. So it's relationship, building that relationship with students day in and out. So there may be times that, okay, you're feeling comfortable already with the students, but there are students who will still push your limit. It may be the same kid that you have already a relationship with. So it's a constant challenge. But at
Correct.
the end of the day, yes, just send the message, right? That, hey, I'm here for you. Um, the whole 9 yards to help you learn and at the same time to help you move on, pass, whatever, right? Graduate high school at the end of the day. So I think that's my big keyword for right now. I mean, based on your question, it's the relationship piece that we're trying to establish with the students. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, I know I've heard from you, Miss Gillo, that it's not overnight. And it might be the same kid who will challenge you to the core from day one until the last day of school. But then as teachers, we're not giving up on them. There was one thing when I shared one meetings with my middle school teachers, they say, oh, they keep doing things up over and over again. And I said, they will be doing it over and over again, but I told the teacher, but you don't give up on them, because it's only when you show you give up, they would also give up, because you might be the only hope they have in the classroom. And that's something that we do. It's kind of like any relationship that we do. It's a work in progress. It's not rocket science. It's not just a 2-week event. It's not just 3-week event. It's the entire 175 days since we'll be with you. And that's how much we have to invest with our student. Okay, now let's
We
go
have
to,
a lot of comments from the chat.
yes, ma'am.
Laura said, I create a social contract with my students at the beginning of the year where the students create ideas of how we will treat each other. Shirley says, I do weekly check-ins. Claudia says that they have desk plates with their name. They have classroom jobs. I greet them at the door when they enter in the morning to say hello. I tell them I look forward to seeing them tomorrow when they're leaving. Laura says, if you go to Capturing Kids' Hearts, if you Google Capturing Kids' Hearts, you can get a lot of resources like the contract. Greeting kids, Jennifer says, greeting kids every morning, asking them questions about personal interests, games, sports, etc. Claudia says, I ask for a quick thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral at the beginning of the day in response to how has your morning been so far. It takes 10 seconds. I note the thumbs down and try to observe or give them a little extra attention to maybe turn their morning around. And Shirley says, we also have treatment agreements that they help create and adjust throughout the year.
Oh, those are wonderful ideas. Like, you started the contract at the very beginning of the school year. And usually what happened with us teacher, we do the other way around. We do the reverse. So that's a good thing that I will probably apply in my school, that, the contract, and because the thumbs up and down, usually we do it like most often. And that's one of the most common things that we do as teachers. But the contract and also the other stuff that you all are sharing are very helpful. So if you have not have those kind of ideas in your own classroom at this time, and if you still feel like you're struggling with classroom management, this is the right time for you to take down notes as well, because this is the way we are learning from each other. So that's thank you for sharing those who are sharing at this point in time. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So before I really deep dive into my topic, we have a lot of best practices for classroom management. I said best practices because what happened is we tend to be so excited, like first 3 weeks we have this fancy like decorations, classroom routines and procedures, expectations, and even the poster that we put in the in our classroom wall. But do you really think it matters to our kids? Do you really think the kids are reading them? Because take note, some of our kids need read aloud. Some of our kids need to be taught, need to be told a million times. So I put in here that there are some best practices that we sometimes forget to do on a daily basis. So the first thing that I have here is to establish the rules, routines, and expectations daily. I put all these other words here in bold because these are the things that I noticed with some of the teachers that I observe. Um, I've seen teachers who establish rules, routines, and expectations, but they always feel like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I don't know what to do anymore, or I give up on you or something. But remember, our job is to always do it on a daily basis. So the rules, routines, and expectations, this is every day. I will share with you. I took care of kids in the morning time. And do you know how many days we are in school at this time? Let's just say 100, let's just say 120 days that we are in school. That's how many times I've told my children in the morning, lunchtime, and evening time when they are with me. Those almost 300 kids, I told them daily the rules, the routines, and expectations. But remember, only a few of them remember that these are the things that we're supposed to do. You need to walk straight. You need to level zero. You need to be safe. You need to act wisely. And that I never failed to do because that's my job. My job is to remind the kids so they will remember. But it does not mean that they will remember it every day. No, our job is to ensure that we are doing what we're supposed to do. So at least when they come to you, you will say, didn't I remind you this? So, oh yeah, you told me this. So, and that's times 3. So how many times you remind a student, it will sink in. It does not matter. It will sink into them today, tomorrow, or even the last day of school. At least you have done your part. You are going to reinforce positive behavior through praise. What are the other things? Oh, good job. Those are the like the basic things that we do. What other positive behavior reinforcement that we give to our students? Some teachers are using the spin the wheel, like at the end of the week, they're going to spin the wheel and then they are going to give like tangible rewards. But as a school-wide school, we also have like the bucks or like the paper money, and then we have the store open, and then they will purchase some things. But like we have teachers here from every different places here in the States. So I want to see how you're going to reinforce positive behavior when your students are doing good things. Anyone would like to share, please? Come on, y'all. You want me
In
to
the chat, in the
in
chat
chat?
it says praise, PBIS points, treat
Mhm.
bags, free day passes. And someone said, I do struggle with being consistent.
Yeah, that's a big, because that's my next thing that I want to say. I want to say, why do you struggle with being consistent? And who is that person, Dr. Desiree? I want to hear from that person, because consistency really matters. And I tell you this because, like what I was sharing you, I've been saying the same things over. I feel like I'm a broken record for my students. And majority of them are now following the things that I'm saying, the expectations, the routines, and everything. But they are just children. They keep forgetting. But we as adults. So, Dr. Desiree, who shared the consistency piece that she or he failed to do? We want to hear from that person, please.
It was Claudia. And
Claudia?
she says that the problem is those kids who almost never break a rule, and then they do, I tend to want to overlook it.
Okay, so because you know what will happen? We focus on the ones who are misbehaving, and we tend to lose sight of the ones who are doing great. So this is also the thing that we have to, because this is something that I want to share later on, but since you raised this concern, we tend to focus the ones that, when you say classroom management, we're only looking for the ones who are misbehaving. What about the ones who are really doing great? And then the ones who are doing great are the ones misbehaving, like, oh, I didn't see it. I didn't expect you to do, to be this way. So this is the thing as teachers, like what I said, it's a ministry, it's a vocation that we do. We are not going to lose every one of them. We're going to continue. We will maintain those who are doing great. We are going to maintain what we were doing. We're going to maintain or elevate. This is the word I'm going to use. We are going to elevate, keep elevating the ones who are doing great. Or it might be a different kind of reinforcement that you will give them, because if you are just giving your attention to the ones who are misbehaving, just like your own family, what would happen? So consistency matters. And it takes a lot of studies. It takes a lot of reflection of how you're going to ensure that all of the students are taken care of equally when we talked about diversity. Okay, so we tend to also just say classroom management for the expectations, but sometimes we forgot to instill with our children that, oh, these are the consequences for misbehavior. And I'm going to talk more about the consequences, on the next slide. Maximizing structure. How does your classroom look like? Is it a all-way traffic in your classroom? Is there all clutters everywhere? This matters. Is your classroom looking like rows and columns, or are you doing small group, or are you doing centers? All these things matter. The way you structure your classroom affects the kind of behavior students will have. If you're going to put this misbehaving child, or this child who is consistently, willfully not following directions, with another child, the same thing, you have to do what you have to do, because you, as teacher, you have to learn how to separate them. You have to learn how to ensure that this behavior is not a pattern, that the behavior that they're showing is just a one-time event. And I know I'm saying this from experience, that it's not it. There are really students who would really, really challenge you to the core. So this is something that you have to look into. And then the word I'm gonna say is, it's not bad to ask help. Okay, if there are teachers, like, for example, student A is really behaving in teacher one, and then when the student A come to you, and there might be personality clashes or something. So this is where I'm going to talk more about of how you're going to learn how to ensure that this student will be will become your good student towards the end of the year. So foster student engagement. The student engagement to ensure that everybody is given opportunity to share. There's one incident that there's this one child who was referred to my office because the child was misbehaving. And so I was asking the students, like, why are you here in my office? And you know what the student was telling me? Because I keep raising my hand for a long time, and I am a misbehaving child. I know very well that he is a misbehaving child. But what happened was the teacher never called the student. And how do you make that student feel? Because in the classroom, regardless of who's behaving and who's not behaving, you have to be fair. So these are the best practices that we have to remember that we tend to forget. So it's a, if you want to take a note or a reminder for you or a journal for you that, hey, these are the things that I have to do on a daily basis, feel free to do so if that helps you. Okay, now the benefits of classroom management is to extend to academic learning outcomes. And this is the one that I'm going to share from you from Dr. King. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And this is the thing that I keep sharing with my teachers. In order for you to have a successful instructional piece, because teachers might have the best teacher content knowledge, teachers might have known their students that well, but if they lose the learning environment piece of their rubric of the teacher evaluation, it should be a balance between instruction and academic, because if you have a very high percentage of instructional piece, but then your behavior management piece is low, it's still not balanced. Or if you have a very good classroom management, but if you have a very low instructional piece, it's still not balanced. It should be a balance of both classroom management piece and your instruction. So it takes a lot of hard work on our end, but that's what we're supposed to do. If you want to have a peace of mind, and then if you want to go to your classes every day looking forward that today will be a good day for me, I prepared my lessons, but then there's this 3 students that I really need to focus on today, because I know that any moment they're going to snap or something. That's something that you also have to put in mind. And this is something that I was sharing with my teachers. We know that we are annotating our lessons on instructional piece. And that's what I keep sharing with them. When you annotate your lesson plan, or when you annotate your lesson, you annotate for the instruction piece. But what about the behavior? I just thought of that one. It's like the same thing with behavior, because, okay, you put here, okay, small group, this with small group lesson for this certain number of kids who are kind of like struggling readers or struggling learners. But what about those who are struggling with behaviors? So if this is something that could help you with adding annotation of which part of the lesson that you feel like this is where the student misbehaved the most, I told my teachers, hey, put your annotation. Oh, this is where student A and B could probably misbehave because they don't know what they're supposed to do on this part. Feel free to do so, because you are going to ensure your classroom should be controlled by teachers and not by students. So I said, put your annotation not just for instruction, also for the behavior piece. Okay, because at the end of the day, what we're looking forward for is the whole child. Okay, so here is what I am creating for the keys to successful classroom management. And Miss Gillo and some of you were mentioning about building a strong teacher-student relationship. But one teacher was sharing about, Claudia said, consistency. We can build strong teacher-student relationship, but how to maintain? Maintaining it from the day one to the last day of school is a struggle, because this is what I observe. We are so great with, oh, I have this kind of teacher-student relationship from the beginning. First 3 weeks, oh, we're good. But then at the end of the first 9 weeks, you feel like you're burnt out already. Then second 9 week comes, then I will hear often code 2 for this classroom. And I hear code 2 from this teacher almost every day. So something going on, you know. So we if you're coding a student to the discipline office every single day, or at least more than one time a week, this is something we have to think about. This is what I keep telling. If we are a transformative, if we are a reflective teacher, we always have to ask ourselves first, what do I have to do to really get to know this student of mine? Because regardless of what I do, it feels like it's not working. Maintaining, you can have any kind of relationship, student teachers in a relationship in the classroom, but maintaining, how do you maintain? I want to hear one or two participants from here. How would you be able to maintain that kind of teacher-student relationship? Not the one that's already been shared. Anything that you have experienced, because this is what I said, this is experiential for all of us. Anyone who would share how you were able to maintain up to this point in time, because we are ending the third 9 week. How much have you gone through in terms of strong teacher-student relationship, and how did you able to manage to maintain that kind of student-teacher relationship with in terms of behavior? Okay, feel free to chat or unmute if you want to say something. I really want to hear some from you too, because you're from anywhere from this, from the States. So it's nice to hear from you.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so I teach preschool, and what I do, I sit down with them, and one of our rules are respect others. So we'll get up and get our elbows, L-O-V-E, I love you. And we'll go around and say, I love you and I love you. So I think it's so important to let them know I love you, and everybody in the room needs to be respected. And just like you said about those rules, I don't miss a beat on those rules. Every morning we saying those rules, and I can see it. One little girl at the table said, we're family, because one little boy was doing something. So, and I was like, wow. So if you keep on saying it, they will get it.
Correct. Every day, keep saying it over and over again, and they will definitely get it. One child will pick up one day, and then if you have 20 kids, you have the end of the school year to make sure. And then if they still don't get it, you still have a chance to keep doing it, until the child will be able to understand. Do we have anything on the chat, Dr. Desiree?
Yes. Shirley says consistency, always being attentive to their needs and attitudes. We also do share outs when we share our feelings, ideas, and feelings. Laura says, my students actually help maintain our class social contract. It's a team effort. They can check each other when someone breaks the contract. I also refer back to our contract anytime there is an issue before we discuss. So we set guidelines of what our conversation should sound and look like. Ashley says, I'm a first-year teacher in middle school. Would love to hear your strategies for maintaining relationships. Claudia says, at the beginning of the year, children fill out an interest survey, things they like, things they cannot stand, things they want to learn this year. When problems arise, especially this time of the year, I refer to that student survey. Oh my goodness, finding common ground is so helpful. Example, I had a child who hated word problems. He loved chickens. Laugh out loud. I wrote a word problem about chickens. Behavior improved and he engaged again instead of fighting it.
That is so wonderful. So taking a personal interest from your students would also help. there are many things that you can do as teachers. It's either you can make it or break it. So it's a fulfillment on our part as teachers if we are able to have this classroom, full of 20, 30 kids, and they all love you. I'm just saying this when I say all of them, because even those misbehaving ones, they know that they will care for you, but it might not be at the same time that the other kids were showing that they care for you. Okay. So be able to maintain, because that's something that we have to forget all the time as teachers, because we tend to lose our focus. Okay. Number two. Okay. Number two is to repair harm before things gets worse. So I'm going to ask you, how many of you are just easily coding out student to the discipline office? Like, oh, I'm done with you. I'm tired with you. I don't have nothing to do with you anymore, especially this time around the end of third now week. How many of you have not referred a student to the discipline office? That's my first question. My second question is, how many of you have referred to a student to the discipline office more than, let's just say, more than 5 times in this time period? And you can put it in the chat, or you want to share out, because this is very important. This matters to me. You're going to repair it first within your classroom, and then try to resolve any issues that you have. Because for me as a teacher, because I was once a teacher, as a teacher, for me, my last resort was to bust the button, to bust the office, to call for security, to call for administrator to come into my classroom, or to call for security to come get this child, remove this child out from my classroom. So if you want to share out in there, if there's, and this is one thing that I want to share with you too. We have one I think this second 9 week that we are trying to reward, because we give rewards to our students. I told my principal, hey, we're gonna reward teachers too who didn't have any referral at all. And she said, there's none. I was like, there's none, Dr. P. It's like, no, ma'am, I think we do. I think there is still some. We have to be hopeful for our teachers too, right? And so we ended up having a few teachers who didn't have any referrals. But I'm not saying that you don't have to refer to the discipline office. I'm not saying that part. But what I'm saying in here is, if you are able to repair any issues, concerns, and like what we said about teacher-student relationship on number 1, if you're able to maintain that number 1, you will be able to easily navigate number 2. Okay, so do you have anything in the chat, Dr. Desiree, who's sharing about referrals?
Shirley says, my students know my expectations for their behavior. In the past 7 years of teaching high school, I've only written 2 referrals, none this year.
That's so wonderful. Is there anybody else who shared aside from that person?
Claudia says, I cannot say I have never done that in 30 years, but most years I send no one to the office. This year, no one was sent out of the classroom.
Oh, see, that's progress right there. It's kind of like we also reward ourselves, because some teachers like, oh, the AC way out for us, it's to just send we lose patience ourselves. And I know that having a misbehaving student in our classroom can also affect our own health. And I'm going to talk about that, towards the very end of this presentation. That can also affect our health. But remember that the kids who are misbehaving in your classroom will not go anywhere. They will be in your classroom from day 1 up to the last day of school, unless they were dropped, or unless they will go to another school, okay, or unless they're going to go to any alternative school. But while they are with you, you're going to repair any issues or concerns between the two of you. What I usually do when I was in the classroom is I tend to have a one-on-one conversation. I didn't do I did one contract, just one, like, okay, this is what you do, behave, da, 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 da. But then what was effective on me was to have a conversation, like a serious conversation with that student of mine. And I told the student, and I put him, like private conversation, because I don't want others to hear. And I am intentionally telling the student that, hey, I am here for you. I want you to be successful. I want you to do what you're supposed to do. And I want you to look at me in my eye. That means I'm so serious about you that you need to change, because we are in this together and all those things. And I did it to him every single day. But then it's when this is something that I'm going to share with you. This is when I was about to give up. Then I started seeing a change on the student. So teachers, you just don't know how much effective what you're doing until you see a change. This is when you feel like you're giving up, but then you started seeing a change. So stop thinking about giving up. Just make sure that you take a pause, reflect, and do, like, there's this student in here, what will I do really? What will I do? Or you can ask, any other parent involvement. So that's something that I have to talk about in the next slide. Because it's not just between you and the student, there's also other people involved to ensure that this misbehavior will not happen again. Okay, so this next one is establish clear expectation and consequences. How many of you are guilty about telling either one or group of students or the whole entire class that you will ask them, let's stop right here at this moment, and then we are going to get a piece of paper that you will start writing on the board. I will follow the rules such and such, and you are going to write this 100 times back and forth of that paper, and you will not stop until I tell you to stop. How many of you can put it in the chat? I did it myself too, this part right here. And I want to know if this is effective on you. How effective or how often did you do this? And you can share in the chat, please. Dr. Desiree, do you have any?
Claudia says, no, not something I've done. I've made my share of mistakes, though, over the years, but not that one.
Okay, anyone else? I have about 15 people here. So have you experienced having a group of students writing like, I will follow the rules? And or just one student that you in particular that you are trying to show that, hey, I am in control and you're violating the rules and things. Anyone else, Dr. Desiree?
No, people are just saying no.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. That's a good, so it's just me doing this. I've done this before. But this is also the thing. We set a clear expectation at the beginning. But what I failed to see from teachers are the consequences. I know that we send out, like, especially the elementary people. I know we usually send out like the conduct mark, the conduct behavior chart or something like that. But those are for the parents, though. For me, what it is most effective for parents, like when they get home, oh, mom, I have a conduct mark for this number one rule. Oh, I was talking in the line or something like that. But what I didn't see from teachers, and this is what I observed for the many years, is that teachers set clear expectations, but then I did not see a clearer consequences that if I am going to break a line, I am not just going to get a conduct mark, but what is it really that I am going to do if I am talking in the classroom? And so there should be a clear consequences too with what they are going to do if they break this kind of expectation that they do. So it's a matter of balance, because I've been talking about being balanced with academic and behavior. So we also have to ensure that there's a balance between expectations and consequences. And as a school-wide, we talked about, oh, those who are doing great for the entire 9 week, we're gonna, all those kids, we're gonna have a popcorn party, or we're gonna have a movie party. But what do you do inside the classroom for those kids who are showing following the expectations that you have at the end of the week? Aside from those things, do you also do your own kind of party? What kind of celebration? Okay, because if there are if kids are following the expectations, and if they know very well the consequences, what kind of celebrations do you celebrate with your students? Probably I want to see, or in the chat, just for a quick response from you. What kind of celebration do you do to celebrate good behavior on a weekly basis? Okay, Dr. Desiree?
None so far. They're probably still typing.
Oh, okay. I'll give them a few more seconds. Okay. Is there anyone?
None so far. I know some people are having to leave because we're at time, but none so far. Oh, we have one. We've done a popsicle party.
Oh, that's so nice. And I know as teachers we have to spend our own money too. But this is something that we have to do as teachers. There are a lot of grants that you can do, so you will not spend out of pocket. Okay. So I know for the time's sake, we're already probably out of time. But number 4, I'm going to share quickly. So this is one thing that Lynn Gillow and some of you were sharing about: take a personal interest in students. So unless you're going to really show that you care, that you're interested with what they are, because like when kids come from a weekend and they come to you on a Monday morning and they are kind of like, you don't really you see a different things from them. What will happen is you are going to really probably have a conversation of how was your weekend or something like that. And some of you were sharing about personal interests, like what they like, their learning style, all these things. The tangible rewards are very important, like candy, chips, popcorn, all those other things. And if you are going to show it, you're not hiding it. When you're going to give rewards to your students and learning things from them, you're not going to hide it in your classroom. You're going to show it. That means that's something that they're looking forward to, and they will work hard for it, because kids, they love food. They love any tangible rewards. So that's what you do. So personal interest means, as you are also not just having them in your classroom as their bodies and soul, you are also learning, like how's you learning this, like how are you learning at this time, how was your week, or what did you do, or if you're gonna do this, I'm gonna give this to you, all these other things that are beyond classroom things that teachers will do. These are some things that we are going to do, because sometimes we forget to note that kids love to have teachers who not just teach them lessons, but teachers who really like, when I see your parents, in the carpool line, or when I see your parents in the meeting, I'm gonna tell them that, you're doing great, that these are the things that you do. Because sometimes we forget to tell the good things that they're doing, mostly, especially those misbehaving ones. We forget to tell them that, oh, oh, he's always misbehaving in my classroom. That means you're not really giving them the kind of interest that they want to learn from you. So that's something that teachers have to ensure that you to take your time, and you probably give them a one-on-one conversation, and show them that, hey, I am here for you, just like what some of you were sharing, that you are there for them, that you're gonna go through that every day until the child will understand. Okay. And I like what I was sharing you. This is not just you and students alone. Any kind of involvement, parent involvement is very crucial, because without the parents, without the students, a school will not be able to stand out. Any kind of involvement where you're going to involve some, if there's a misbehaving student in the classroom, because it affects your classroom management piece, you always have to ensure that you're calling every number on the information. If ever you fail to, because parents sometimes put the wrong number in the information, you always make sure you catch them up in the car line. You always make sure that if they have a sibling in other grade level, you are also reaching them out. And hey, as it's like, hey, share this to your sister, share this to your parents when they get home, that this so and so is not doing what he's supposed to do today, and I want to hear something from your mom, or and it helps. It really helps. So you're not doing it alone. You have some other people that could help you improve the classroom management that you have. And I've done this before as well, where I am calling parents and I take out every time from my own time to really invest on calling and communication. Parent communication is the key as well to help you have a stressful, no, less stress classroom while you're teaching. Because any misbehaving child, if you're bonding also with the parents, and the parents will know that you also care about their kids, they will do more for you. So it's about parent relationship and parent involvement. So you, and also the other adults in the school. So sometimes there are students who have good relationship with other, like probably security or probably other teachers. So we say, hey, if you're misbehaving in my classroom, I'm going to give you a time to, speak to this person and share why you're misbehaving in my classrooms, and like that one. So you have to find ways to ensure that any other adults in the campus, any adults who are present in the lives of your students are also involved in managing their own misbehavior in the classroom. Because it takes the whole, we always hear this, it takes the whole village to raise a good child. So any guardian that you have, and remember, a sense of belonging. So parents belong to the school, the community belongs to the school. So that's something that we have to ensure that we are not just be focusing on the students. If we cannot change a child, then that our next step is to reach out to the parents. And it might be hard for you to reach out in the beginning, but if you're consistently calling, if you're maintaining the kind of communication that you have to their parents, it will work wonders. And I've seen that our chat has numbers are going up. Dr. Desiree, are there some people who want to share some?
No, people have to leave because we're 8 minutes over time. So
Yes,
we need to, so people are just saying they enjoyed it, but they have to leave. So we need to
I
start
understand.
wrapping up.
Okay. So one last thing is take care of yourself. When everything is exhausted, this is the last piece. When everything else is exhausted, it's time for our self-care. We don't want to lose any more teachers in the education system, and you have to do what you have to do. If you want to take a day off, feel free to do that. The most important thing is we are also taking care of our own mental health. So we will be able to take care of our own students when they come to see you every day. So the best thing, the takeaway for me on this is you have to learn to be able to consistently establish the the different classroom management piece that you are establishing for your students, and you'll be able to maintain it. But if things gets worse, it's okay to do a self-care, and it's also okay to reach out to other people who may have more expertise than you. So this is not just you doing the whole thing yourself, but this is for you to reach out, and it's okay to seek help. So, but do self-care, and teachers are needed, and we appreciate teachers everywhere. And that's the end of my presentation, Dr. Desiree. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. That was such a great presentation, and bringing in everyone to kind of give their own, not only advice, but also asking them questions and things like that, and letting them say the awesome things that they're doing was great, because now you're hearing from a whole panel of educators from across the world. So that was amazing. What I want to do right now is just see if we have anyone that wants to ask a question. If you have to go, of course, the evaluation has been posted, so you're good to go. But does anyone have a question? I know we had one in the chat about personalities and how to kind of get over that, the different personality types, but anyone have a question? Go ahead, Stephanie.
So I was just wondering, what can a teacher do to maintain and control? Because sometimes the behavior can get out of control, and sometimes you be like, okay, your voice get loud and you hollering too. So what as a teacher that we can do to maintain control even when they out of control?
Yeah, that's a good question, because most of I know teachers will, like do the screaming or the yelling or the shouting. This is something that I have, because I used to do it before, but then I stopped because I know the yelling wouldn't help. So what I was trying to do is just to ensure that like I reteach the expectations, and it all really comes from you. And this is something that you also have to instill within our minds, that we teachers are grown up people, and we are in control. If we are going to show our kids that they feel like they can control you, they are going to tear you apart. But if you're going to show the student that you have the firmness, the consistency within you, the students will learn how to follow you. So give me a scenario where you were kind of like, okay, out of control, like screaming. Like, are you teaching a lesson or something?
No, I was in the middle trying to do portfolio. And so the kids, he just was very stubborn, wouldn't do anything. And I'm just like, okay, you know it, say it. And I got frustrated. He just looking at me, and I'm like, I know you know this. And the kids start hollering and playing. And I'm like, I got to get this portfolio done. So I got frustrated. And I was like, y'all be quiet, so
What grade is this?
I teach pre-K.
Okay, pre-K. And I know do you have any support in the classroom as well?
I do.
Yeah. So what's the best thing you do is have you give your focus on the student. Because I was once a preschool teacher too. What I did was I gave instruction to the student who was misbehaving, and I said, I'm gonna get back to you, and we're gonna help you, and just give a reassuring information to the student that, hey, I am here for you, and we're gonna work through it. So you're gonna have you done seating arrangement? Have you done proximity control? Have you done verbal, nonverbal gestures, and all those other things? Because this might help. And were you able to also reach out to the parent, because the child might have any condition that can affect the performance. And that's something that we have to remember, that a child may be out of control because there's something that's missing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Also in the chat, Lynn says signals work, hand signals, cue, like if you can hear me, clap twice. Any other questions before we wrap up? Lynn, go
Dr.
right ahead.
Marlyn, I couldn't find the hand, the raise my hand. That's why I unmuted myself. I hope you don't mind. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure if you can understand. Lynn, your mic sounds like you're underwater. We
I'm
tried we tried to understand you the first time. Let's see if we can understand you this time.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit better.
Okay, sorry for that. It may be my background noise. Yeah, so I know you're wrapping up, and yeah, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Marlene, for sharing. This is a very informative Saturday morning for me. But my what you call this? My background is different because I teach high school, and I don't see a lot of like behavior issues like the one happening in pre-K or elementary because you know my students are kind of matured and they know how to regulate themselves already. But for us, because I know the buzz in education right now is inclusive learning. So the sense of belongingness for us is focusing more on inclusive learning. Like I'm trying to, because I teach a very diverse population. So the goal is to teach diversity also into our learning. And what I also found successful with my students, like for example, I would begin the class by asking questions. Are my needs being met right now? Are my needs being met? Do I have, you know, my materials? Do I have my supplies? Am I sitting on a chair? Do I have my computer? Do I have my technology with me and stuff like that? So I think that is a very powerful question, and it's also a link to SEL, asking them or letting them ask themselves, are my needs being met at this time while in this classroom? So yeah, so thank you so much, and looking forward to more webinars with you, Dr. Marlene.
Thank you.
All right. As always, Dr. Marlyn, thank you so much for coming and just dropping truth bombs all over the place like you always do. We appreciate it. You are absolutely part of the EA family, and you know you can come back anytime you want to. So everyone have a wonderful day, and we're going to wrap up at this time.